As the nation continues to pay tribute to Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, one of the more personal hallmarks of her legacy is her longtime friendship with the late Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia.
Once asked how we could be friends given our disagreement on lots of things, Justice Scalia answered, "I attack ideas, I don't attack people. Some very good people have some very bad ideas."
Justices Ginsburg and Scalia, who became friends while on the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, served together on the High Court for more than 22 years. And we are joined now on Skype by Christopher Scalia, Justice Scalia's son and co-editor of On Faith, Lessons from an American Believer, a collection of the late Justice's reflections. Christopher, welcome back. So great to have you on the show. Wondering, what comes to mind when you think of your father's friendship with Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg?
Thanks a lot for having me, Tracy. First thing that comes to mind, I guess, is just kind of laughter. They made each other laugh. She used to say that really only two people she knew made her laugh very often out loud, and those people were her husband, Marty Ginsburg, and my father. She also told a story about how when they were on the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals together in the early 80s, my dad would whisper jokes to her while court was in session, and she would have to pinch herself so that she didn't disrupt the courtroom by laughing out loud. So I think of that, but you know, it was more than just the two of them sharing the friendship. My mother was also very good friends with Justice Ginsburg and her husband Marty, so it was the four of them spending a lot of time together and enjoying each other's company.
It's so great to hear those stories, Chris. I know theirs was a great friendship, and you mentioned some of those stories. And it was all despite their ideological differences and being from different faiths. I know they often socialized outside of court, as you mentioned. What do you think helped to form that bond between them? And also, what lessons do you think that we all can learn from their friendship? As these days, you know, it seems kind of a rarity to have that type of relationship.
Yeah, I think they, well, first of all, I think they had a good working relationship. They had, I guess you could say, similar work habits in that they both really liked to give feedback and advice to the opinions of other judges. And especially on the first court, the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, not all the other judges appreciated that, but Justice Ginsburg and my father both did. So they helped each other with their opinions, even when they were kind of making very different arguments. But they also had, I think, in some ways similar backgrounds, despite the differences of faith. They were both born in New York around the same time, different boroughs, but I think, you know, close enough. And they were probably kind of similar types, or they were familiar types. They would have kind of been familiar with each other when they met. And they shared a love of opera. They shared a love of good wine and good food. Marty Ginsburg was basically a gourmet chef, and my mom loved to trade recipes with him, and my dad liked to eat. So it all worked out together, worked out pretty well. You know, and as for lessons, I think the lesson is that you know, you can be friends with political adversaries or ideological adversaries. The importance is, as that clip suggested at the beginning, to focus on the ideas and the arguments. And once you start looking at people with different arguments and ideas as enemies, that's when you start running into the real problems. So Justice Ginsburg and my father didn't compromise their beliefs for the sake of their friendship, nor did they let those beliefs, those very strong, deep convictions, undermine their friendships. They found a delicate balance.
Chris, there's a wonderful story that I saw you recently shared on social media about your father giving Justice Ginsburg 24 red roses for her birthday, and what his response was when someone asked why he bought her those flowers. Would you mind talking about that? Because I think it says so much.
Yeah, a former clerk of his and now a federal judge, Jeff Sutton, was visiting my father at the Supreme Court, and it happened to be Justice Ginsburg's birthday. And my father gave her 24 roses on her birthday. And so Judge Sutton, I should say, was teasing him, and you know, said things like, "Oh, come on, I haven't even given my wife that many roses. Why are you giving this to Justice Ginsburg? When was the last time she sided with you in an important 5-4 decision?" But, you know, poking fun at him, teasing him. But my father responded with a pretty serious answer, and he said, some things are more important than votes. Again, the point isn't that his friendship with Justice Ginsburg was more important than what he believed and what his opinions on the court were. But the point was that those opinions and those beliefs didn't trump his friendship, and they could find a way to overcome those things because of all the many other things they had in common, and just the fact that they enjoyed each other's company.
Well, Chris, thanks so much for coming on the show and sharing those memories with us. We really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Thanks a lot for having me on.